G'day, how's it going? My name's Daniel, and today what we're going to do is talk about how to write automated lines, personalized automated lines using AI. And this is something that you can do in your cold email campaigns. So I'll give you an example of what it looks like. And this is an example from Neil Patel. So I got his LinkedIn up here. So imagine you were prospecting and you saw someone's LinkedIn and you were looking down and trying to find information about who he is, what he does, and you wanted to write something nice to him in your email. This is an example of one that we've done, and this is built with AI. So let's start off with why you would want to personalize. So personalization separates you from other people. If you don't personalize and you just write an email that's boom, a pitch, your email feels like it's being sent to a million other people. And if it's being sent to a million other people, then the person who's reading it's going to be like, well, why should I respond to you? Why do you care? A lot of the things that you say aren't as believable because you haven't done any research into them at all. Typically, this is done with a VA. So a VA would find something interesting. They would go to the LinkedIn page, do some research, and then they would write a compliment. And this is typically either used as a first line or it is used as a PS line. So the reason for using it as a first line is that it helps with opening, because when people read their email inbox, they'll see subject line and then they'll see, a greeting, and then they'll see a first line, which if it's personalized, then it's more likely to be opened. And if the compliment or personalization is accurate, then that obviously helps as well to help them continue reading. So yeah, with a VA, typically they'll do this research and they'll write a compliment, and it would take roughly 3 minutes if they're really super efficient. And the reason that AI is really good at this now is that a VA costs $6 to $10 an hour, roughly, and they can write, if they're really switched on and they don't drink coffee and they're never tired and they never have to go to the bathroom, then they could write 20 lines per hour, give or take. So if they're perfect, then it'll cost you roughly 30 cents to 50 cents per line to get this done. And if you have a lead list of 2,000 leads, then it will take you 100 hours to do this, right? It's okay, I suppose. But when you compare it to AI, you can parallelize this job so that if you really wanted to, you could do 1,000 plus in an hour. I think the speed that you do it is really up to your engineering abilities. And for every line, and this is probably a conservative amount, it's going to cost about 1/10 of what a VA would cost. So you can do it practically instantly, and it's cheaper to do. So the way to do this is that we are going to capture someone's LinkedIn URL. So if you have a lead list and you've already got their LinkedIn URL, then that's awesome. And we're going to use a software called Prospeo. I'll write it here. So Prospeo. This software, what it does is, given a LinkedIn URL, it is going to fetch the profile, and it's going to fetch it in a very neat JSON format that we can use to feed to an LLM. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our neatly formatted profile data, put it into our prompt, and our prompt is basically going to tell the language model, like, hey, you're a really good copywriter and I want you to write a really nice line, and here's the information about the profile, so come up with something really good. And then our LLM, which is going to be GPT-4o, but you can use any LLM you want. You can use your own LLM, you can use Claude, whatever it is, and you're going to get to write and output a personalized line. So that's the process. And what I'll do now is I'm going to show you just Prospero real quick. So what it is an API, and what we do is we feed in a URL, so LinkedIn URL. In this example, they got John Doe, and what it's going to come back with is all this information, which is going to be like, it's going to have their email, first name, last name, job title, summaries, basically the whole profile. The profile that we see here, it's going to bring that back in JSON format, neatly JSON format. So what I got here is a Jupyter notebook, which is going to allow me to write Python code cell by cell. And as I talk through it, I'll explain exactly what I've done and how it works. So this is just importing our modules. And now what this is, this function here, is it's fetching the LinkedIn profile. So basically we're going from a LinkedIn URL to getting the LinkedIn profile. That's the step we're doing. And the example I got here is Neil Patel. So if I run that, then what we can do is just print out the profile, and you can see here we've got the summary, we've got the work experience, and you see it says I am a New York Times bestseller, Wall Street Journal calls me top influencer on the web, and that's exactly what it says here, right? So that works. We're getting back the profile, and what we want to then do is we want to feed the profile into our prompt. So to do that, I've got another function here, and it's called get personalized line prompt. This contains an argument called content, which is going to be the content of the profile. So basically, the prompt, it just talks about a task, which is to write a compliment for a prospect. And the main blocks that I have in this prompt is I have what the compliment should be and the things that it shouldn't do. So for example, it must be very specific, so I don't want it to just be like, hey, I loved your profile. Because if you do that, then you can do that for everyone, right? So the person who receives that is going to be like, well, you didn't really look at my profile. So be specific, casual, like we don't want like businessy jargon rubbish, and it must be about them. The things that it shouldn't do is make stuff up, because language models love making things up, so it's really important to tell it not to make things up. Don't be disingenuous, and don't over compliment them. Like, don't make it so wonderful that they look like a Greek god or something, because they're going to know that that's disingenuous. And besides that, a really important one that I find, which is pretty important to put in a prompt if you're doing this, is to remind the model what information it has. So in our example, it only has access to the LinkedIn page. If it had access to like news articles or other elements that you've given it, then you might change this prompt a little bit. But in this example, we're saying, okay, you only have access to the LinkedIn page. So don't say things like, I saw your ad about, or I watched this interview you were in. Because if you do that, then what comes out, like the rest of the compliment, it's going to be like, it's just going to be a lie. It's going to be rubbish, and the person's going to read it and be like, well, what the hell is this? You always want to make sure that the model knows what data it has available to it, and when it comes out and starts writing the line, it makes sense. So that's a really important point. And we can run that and get our prompt. After we've got our prompt, this one is just running the LLM right now to spit out the personalized line. That's our function to call OpenAI with GPT-4o, and we're telling him he's an amazing copywriter. And then we're going to get our line. All right, it's okay. Love how your blog attracts over 4 million visitors a month. Yeah, I guess that's nice. We can try it again and see what kind of lines we get. There we go. So that one's maybe a little bit more similar to the one that I got in my my Figma board over there, FigJam board. Cool. So if you want to make that a PS, then all you have to do is just add PS to the string, and then that would be something you could put at the end of an email. So what this does, this function here, this is just getting everything that we've done. So the profile, the prompt, and running it and creating the actual personalized line and making it a PS all in one function. So we can then just call write personalized PS line on a LinkedIn URL, and then it's going to spit out a personalized line. So that's kind of packaged all together. Cool. So here we've got a example of a lead list, and this one is from Apollo. And what I just want to show you is that we've got the LinkedIn URLs here. So person LinkedIn URL. And what we're going to do is we're going to iterate through this list, and then we're going to create personalized lines for every single person in this list. So we're back in our Jupyter notebook. Now we're going to load our CSV into a data frame, which you can see here. We've got our first name, last name, title, blah, 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 blah. And we've got our person LinkedIn URL, which is the main column that we're really interested in to write these personalized lines. We're going to take our function here, write personalized PS lines, and we're iterating through the data frame. We're getting the LinkedIn URL, we're running that function, and then we're going to append our personalized line to this list that we have here. And after that, once that's done, it'll print out, and then we're going to save those personalized lines back to our data frame, and then we're going to store the CSV. So we'll let that run and show you what it looks like once it's done. All right, that is done. So we've got all of our PS lines here, which look decent. And what we're going to do now is save it, and we've just saved the data frame back to a CSV. So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. Cool, so we've got our lead list here, and if we go all the way to the end, we should see personalized lines. Boom. So we've got this this column here now. So as a result, when we upload this to Smart Leads or Instantly, then what we can do is we can use personalized lines as a variable in our cold emails, and that's how you could use this in your campaigns immediately. So I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, then please feel free to leave them in the comments. Cheers.